In this video, we're going to look at mitosis and why organisms need asexual reproduction. So as a review, remember the parts of the cell cycle, specifically DNA replication that happens in S phase. And really keep in mind, all cells go through this cell cycle. So first off, what's mitosis? Well, as we talked about before, it's a process of nuclear division. In other words, the nucleus is divided and we're going to separate chromosomes. And it is involved in asexual reproduction. And it's used for making an exact copy of cells. So that's a big deal here. We are making what are called clones. We're going to take one cell and we're going to make two exact copies. And in multicellular organisms like humans, we primarily use it for growth, so when you need more cells because you're getting bigger, repair for things if you get a cut, and replacement because eventually many of your cells wear out. So the acronym GRR, growth, repair, replacement. One of the ways that I remember this is mitosis makes my cells. So if I need new cells in my body, mitosis is going to make those cells. Now, for some unicellular organisms, they actually use mitosis to reproduce their entire self. And we call that binary fission. Binary means two, fission means to split. So basically it just means the cell splits in two. And basically just what happens is the nucleus divides, the cell divides, and now we have two new unicellular organisms. And these would be clones of each other. So what are the steps in mitosis? We're going to go through each one of these individually. But basically, the chromosomes form. The chromosomes are going to line up. Then they're going to split. The nucleus is going to split. And cytokinesis is going to occur to create two new cells. So first, let's look at DNA replication. So here we have a cell, and it's going to go through S phase, and now you can see it has twice as much DNA. Now, the problem is, though, that this DNA is not coiled up in any way, so it's kind of a mess. We need to get it all nice and pretty beforehand. So what's going to happen is we're going to form chromosomes. The DNA is going to wind up, and I kind of think of this like if you have a whole pile of ropes, you go in and you find each individual rope and you wind it up nicely so that you can separate it and move it around easily. So here we have our chromosomes. And the nucleus is going to go away because we're going to need to be able to separate these chromosomes. Next, the chromosomes are going to line up, and this is the real important part of mitosis. So as you can see, they've lined up in the center. And this is important because one of the sister chromatids in each chromosome is facing the opposite direction of the cell. And you see these little fibers, they're kind of like ropes. They latch on to the two sides of the two sister chromosomes, and they're going to kind of pull the chromatids to opposite ends of the cell. So here we have the sister chromatids split. So if you notice, each side of the cell now has 6 chromosomes. That's the same as the original number of chromosomes. And this is how we're able to create two identical new cells. So then the nucleus is going to reform. The cell is going to split in cytokinesis. And we now have two new identical cells. And one of the key things to keep in mind with the fact that these are identical, that means there's no variation that occurs. So in asexual reproduction, we don't get any genetic variation or diversity. So if we look at this all together, here we have our 1,2N or diploid cell. This is our parent cell. It has 2 sets of chromosomes. This cell is going to go through mitosis, and if this is a human cell's got 46 chromosomes. So it's going to go through the mitosis, and it's going to create 2 new cells. These are our daughter cells, and they are both, just like the parent cell, 2N or diploid. They are clones of each other, meaning there is really no difference between them or the parent cell. And so if this was human cells, they would both have 46 chromosomes. So the really key thing to remember here is mitosis goes from diploid to diploid, and the chromosome number does not change. So take a second to look at this. This is a jumbled up set of steps for mitosis, because the question that you're going to answer here in a second is going to have you put these in order. So you should have said, we start with the uncoiled DNA, we make the chromosomes line up, they split, the nucleus reforms, and the cell splits, and now we have our 2 new cells.